Have you felt that you're in a situation where you're overwhelmed? You feel like everyone is against you. You feel like the whole world is against you, crumbling on you. Problems here on every side, problems here on every hand. Even your family members turn against you, your friends turn against you because you're doing something good. And sometimes because you stand up for truth and you stand up for right, you are despised and hated. Have you ever been in such a situation? Well, we are going to see this with the prophet Jeremiah. Welcome to Central Truth, a ministry of Hats Inc. with Pastor Dixon. Today we are going to be looking at Jeremiah chapter 12 verse 5, a very interesting and intriguing passage of scripture. Now here Jeremiah was in a situation where we all of us sometimes can say we have been in that situation, especially those who stand up for truth, for justice, who swim against the tide. We find ourselves in difficult situation when friends, foe, family turn against you because you take a stand for something right. Now in the book of Jeremiah chapter 11 and chapter 12, in chapter 11 God gave Jeremiah a message to give to the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel had turned their back on God. The covenant that Moses gave to them in the book of Deuteronomy, the blessings and cursings, this nation of Israel renege on their covenant. They turn their backs on God and they start to serve other gods. They start to serve other gods. And God said, Jeremiah, I have a message for you to give the nation of Israel. Go to the nation of Israel and give them this message. And God said, you have turned against me. You have turned against me. And because of this, God is going to punish you. And the people did not like the message. And sometimes that's what happened. Instead, they go to the one who sent the message, is the messenger who gets killed. And here it is. God said, Jeremiah, these people not only hate me, but let me tell you something. In chapter 11, the Bible said, Jeremiah, they are against you too. And in verse 18 of chapter 11, the Lord revealed to Jeremiah. Jeremiah said, the Lord revealed to him, Jeremiah, the people are against you. The people want to destroy you. You are like a lamb before the slaughter. And Jeremiah was kind of stunned. And God said to Jeremiah, Jeremiah, don't not even your family are against you. Don't himself smile with them or talk with them. They're going to come with you and talk nice to you. And Jeremiah, they are planning to destroy you. Do not listen to nobody. Do not study nobody. They're talking nice to you, even your family members, but they want to kill you. And here it is. We see a very interesting, the people, and not only that, God said, look, Jeremiah, don't worry. Look at what I'm going to do with these people. And Jeremiah started to complain to the Lord. But the thing about it, if you look at it, it said the people of Anathoth. Anathoth is where Jeremiah was from. If you look at Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 1, you see that's where Jeremiah 1 was from. He's not only his family members, his own people. He was ministering in Benjamin at the area of Benjamin at that time, but also in the entire Jerusalem. But his own people wanted to kill him. His own family members, his own community wanted to kill him because Jeremiah stood up for God and he stood up for truth. Let me tell you something. When you stand up for God and you stand up for truth and you talk the truth, you are going to be hated. People are not going to like you. They're going to be hated. And again, when you stand up, not for truth in general, when you see something going wrong and you stand up There's a lot of people who don't want to stand up. They rather just keep quiet, sit down and say they ain't getting in problems. Then nothing is going to bother you. But when God called you, God said, go, he had to go. And God said, look, Jeremiah is a picture, just like how they hate you, so they hate me now. And because they hate me, they're going to hate you because you're my messenger. Let me tell you something, saints, when you stand up for right, people are going to hate you. Friends, family members, your community. And that's why the Bible said a prophet has no honor in his own country. Your own countrymen, your own people, when you try to correct them, these are the ones going to hit you hard. Chapter 12, Jeremiah started to complain, and Jeremiah started to say, reading from the Holman Christian Standard Version, he said, you will be righteous, Lord, verse 1. Even if I bring a case against you, yet I wish to contend with you, God. Like Job, I want to contend with you. Lord, you give me this message. I want to deliver this message, and then the people them turn against me. Lord, I got a case against you. Lord, why are you going to put me to this? I stand up for you, and this is how you're going to pay me, Lord. Why does the way of the wicked prosper? Jeremiah said, Lord, why do wicked them prosper? And the people who want to do good, people who stand up to the right, these are the ones persecuted. Why does the way of the wicked prosper? Why do all the treacherous live at ease? Why do people who do treachery live at ease? When you look at society, you see it. You plant them and they have taken root. Lord, you like to plant them and they go strong, the wicked. When we look around and we see it's like the wicked is taking root and they're prospering. They have grown and produced fruit. They grown and they produce their own fruit. It come like they spread the wings, the trees, the branches spread wide. The wickedness, the wicked trees, the wicked branches, everything spread wide. Why, Lord? They have grown and produced fruits. You are even on their lips. Not only that they're wicked, but they're calling out to God. You know, a lot of people like that wicked, but you know, God, get me back, I don't care, I love God. They're wicked, but they still call out to God. They go to church, they bring their sacrifices, they do all kind of things, but yet they don't love God. They truly don't love God. They don't stand up for Him. They don't honor Him. They don't praise Him. You are even on their lips, but far from their conscience. They talk about God, but in the conscience they're far from you. A lot of people like that, they talk about God and they're, oh, I'm blessed. Oh, we have these Christians today, oh, I'm blessed. I am blessed and highly favored, but their conscience is far from God. Wickedness is in their conscience, but they know how to talk the jargon. As for you, Lord, you know me. Jeremiah said, Lord, you know me, the wicked prospering, the wings spreading. Is like what they do, they're sitting at ease. But the one who stand up for you, Lord, you know me. As for you, Lord, you know me. You see me. You test whether my heart is with you, Lord. You know it. You know how I stand up for you. You know how I live for you. And this is what Jeremiah, have you ever experienced something like this? And by the way, don't say, oh, you're a man of faith, you ain't supposed to trust God. Who is Jeremiah, one of the greatest prophets? As a matter of fact, let me say this. In English, Psalm is the longest book in the Bible. But in Hebrew, Jeremiah is the longest book in the Bible. So here it is, a man of God. Jeremiah could ask God these questions, these existential questions. Why, who are you? And we cannot ask God because we are human. And sometimes people think because we are Christians, we're supposed to have emotions and feel emotional in situation. Here is Jeremiah, a man of God. You test whether my heart is with you. This is what Jeremiah said. As for you, Lord, you know me, you see me. You test whether my heart is with you. And here with Jeremiah, sometimes, let me tell you something, Jeremiah is human. We are human. And let me tell you, Christians out there, tell me sometimes these thoughts don't come to your mind. Even though in the New Testament we are commanded to pray for our enemies. But sometimes these come to our mind. Tell me if this is not true. And if not, it's true, something is wrong, you lie. But the thing about it, God give us an unction, pray for our enemies. But look at Jeremiah. Drag the wicked away like sheep to the slaughter and set them up apart for the day of killing. Lord, you tell me that my family members, my friends have me like I am like a sheep for the slaughter because they stand up for you. You judge them and make them a sheep for the slaughter. And listen what he said. How long will the land mourn and the grass of every field wither, Lord? How long? Because of the evil of its residents. How long this land gonna suffer because of these evil people? How long? Because of the evil of its residents. Animals and birds have been swept away. Look at it, even the very animals and the birds suffer because of the wickedness of the people in the land. This is what Jeremiah is saying. For the people have said, he cannot see what our end will be. But Jeremiah is saying, God can't see what our end will be. We will do wickedness and God cannot see what our end will be. Now, just today I was talking to a mechanic, he fixed my car, and we're talking about the shooting in St. Kitts, these young men. Bold, just walking up in front of people and just shooting people, bold. And I said, you know what, it's going to happen like that, because if these people are not judged swiftly, as the Bible said in Ecclesiastes, if wickedness is not dealt with swiftly, wickedness will prevail. And because of that, there is no fear and they are emboldened. But if these things has done swiftly, we got the court system we got to go through. Nobody want to talk because they're scared because of that. I mean, they're emboldened, there's free range for them. But if these things was done quickly and swiftly, there will be a fear. But because there is no fear, they are emboldened. And the Bible said, these people say we're going to do our wickedness because God can't see our end. God ain't know what's going on. God ain't can't see our end. He don't know what our end will be, because they're at ease, they're getting away with their wickedness, they feel like God cannot see. But listen to what the Lord responded to Jeremiah. Jeremiah, verse 5 of chapter 12. If you have race with runners, some version have with foot soldiers or footmen, and they have worn you out. If you only run with foot soldiers or with runners and they wear you out, Jeremiah. If you have race with runners and they have worn you out, how can you compete with horses? God is saying, if these people, words, what they're saying, their threats, their words are threatening you, and you feel this way, they're only talking. Yes, they're going on like that. They're saying this, but I have your back. Imagine in the day of real trouble, what you're gonna do? Look at what you get discouraged when the pressure come. Imagine when the real trouble come and the thicket of Jordan is like the bushes. Now you can't run in bushes and the thickets with thorns and thistles. What are you gonna do? So God is telling us, yes, there's problems. Yes, when you take a stand, people might jeer you and say all kind of things, but that's only talk. Imagine when real situation come, when this is not nothing yet. So when the real situation come, what we're gonna do if we can't stand this little pressure? That's what God is saying. So when we go through our difficulties and our challenges, God is saying, if you cannot run with the foot soldiers, how are you gonna keep up with the horsemen? If you cannot bear it in peaceful time, how are you gonna bear it in the thickets of, in difficulty? And how are you gonna run in how we're going to keep up in the thickets of the Jordan? So ladies and gentlemen, in spite of what we're going through, sometimes we might be hated, sometimes people against us, but God still put clothes on our back, God still feed us, God still strengthen us. And when you look at the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah was known as the weeping prophet. When you look at the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah was thrown in a pit, Jeremiah was beaten, Jeremiah here was plucked, pull. Jeremiah suffered a lot. He was thrown in a dungeon, he was thrown in a miry pit with mud and all this kind of thing. But guess what happened? The nation of Israel went into captivity. He was the last prophet to see Israel go into before Israel went into captivity. He was the last pre-exilic prophet. Israel went into captivity in Babylon. Babylon came in under Nebuchadnezzar And if you see how Nebuchadnezzar did the land, destroy the temple, and when the temple was destroy the temple, pluck up the king's eye, kill all. First of all, the Nebuchadnezzar, the army of the commander of Nebuchadnezzar, when capture the king, and he pluck out he kill his relatives in front of him, pluck out his eyes, send the strong and the able men into captivity. That's when Daniel and all of them went down. But the thing about it, guess what happened? You know where Jeremiah was when this happened? The king of Israel before Babylon came and put Jeremiah on the ground in a dungeon. And right there in the dungeon, how you might feel in the dungeon, Lord, you put me down here in the dungeon. But look at it, God had Jeremiah. That dungeon was God's safety place and protection for Jeremiah. It's after they went and they went down in the dungeon and they find this man in prison. And they recognize, and they brought him out and they tell him who is he, Jeremiah, and they tell him how the people treat him. The Babylonians left him in Jerusalem. As a matter of fact, it seems as they left him to be manager over the people. God spared his life in the dungeon. So sometimes when God put us down in the dungeon, we feel like what's going on. Jeremiah not recognizing what God was doing. God used that dungeon to protect him. So you see, God ways we cannot understand him sometimes, but the thing about it, we have to trust him. And remember, when our troubles come, no matter how difficult they be, if we cannot run with the footmen, or in some version the foot soldiers, King James, how can we run with the horsemen? If we cannot persevere in peacetime, how can we persevere in difficult time, and how shall we run in the thickets of the Jordan when things get difficult? In other words, if we can't manage small things, small difficulty, we're going to wilt under big difficulty. So trust God, put God first, hold on to God in your situation. Yes, there are times we feel like we want to bend to the point of breaking, but trust God, he might bend us, he might, and he will hold us. So saints, no matter what you're going through, stand for God. People are going to be against you, people are going to ridicule you, stand for right. In your workplace, stand for right. Whatever you do, stand for right. Injustice in society, stand for right. You are going to be hated, but trust God. God is going to have your back. Because when you ain't stand up on your past, and you could be like everybody else, that's not my problem. But when you stand up, when the day of difficulty come, those who fail to stand up for right, these are the ones going to be killed in the slaughter. But yet when you stand up, God is going to protect you in a dungeon. They might put you in a dungeon, but they're not realizing God orchestrate them to put you in the dungeon for your protection, and while they're up there free, that is the chop for them. So trust God, put God first. Remember, if you cannot run with the foot soldiers, how can you run with the horsemen? If you cannot persevere in peacetime, how are we going to persevere in wartime? And how shall we run in the thickets of the Jordan? And that's a powerful message. Saints, despite everything, trust God. Have a wonderful day, and may the Lord's blessings be with you.